here we are in the back end of the website, and this is going to be a little video on editing the posts. So we're going to jump in here to posts. We're going to take a look at America to Crossroads. So going down the section, what you see here first is the Divi Builder. These sections also are movable, so you can rearrange these by just dragging them and dropping them wherever you want to. I like this at the top. I like my SEO right below it. Right? This shows a little revision section. This is an excerpt, which is SEO work. It can just be a little, little blurb about what the thing is actually like and about. You also have that in here in a little more in-depth detail. But for all you have to worry about is basically just coming down here. You don't worry about any of the custom fields. This is a review contents box, and then this is a breakdown box. You don't need to do those, especially if you end up using the Yoast SEO plugin. But these will change depending on what format you have. So if it's a standard post format, then it looks like this. If you've got a video format, it's going to add this in here where you can see we've already placed a link to a video, right? If you have an audio format, it's going to ask you for the audio file URL. If it's a quote, it'll have special stuff for the quote, right? So each one of these types of formats of posts allows you to do some custom things. This right here is the featured image. Again, you need to size those featured images and make sure they're not huge, otherwise you will clog the site up. I like to get them down to JPEGs at about 1,000 pixels across by whatever it is at the bottom. The website will automatically resize stuff on the front page here and to here and to here. See, these are all the same picture, but they're different sizes. It automatically does that stuff for you. But you just want to make sure that you're giving an original image that's kind of web ready. It's not some huge file that you've pulled down off the web or taken on a digital camera or your phone. You need to kind of bring that down to a reasonable size. Otherwise, your site will start to load really slow, everything like that, and Google will penalize you for that. With that said, that's pretty much everything that you hear. Remember, this right here is if you want it to be on the featured, which is this section right here. So it has to be checked. If it's not, or you want to remove it from that banner, you just go ahead and click on that. And then here's your categories and tags. So remember, categories are kind of big ticket chapter type stuff, like overarching ideas, events, relevant news, tribute stuff there. If you have any more specifics, like you would want to put names of people into tags. So Donald Trump would be a tag, or any of the speakers that you have, Dinesh D'Souza, whatever, they would be tags, and they would be under, say, the tribute events or events tab. These also coincide with these. So you can see we've got a politics, a news, and an events tab. We've got top stories. That's pretty much everything, right? So if you go back here, you'll see those things. I got a top stories. I got a top stories category. I got a tribute category. I got a relevant news category and an events category. So all of these things can be created to come here into specific feeds on the front, and then this is going to be just kind of everything after. We deleted a bunch of posts off of the Turning Points website because they were political, I believe was the word you used, and you weren't allowed to do that with the 501c3. So once you start getting more information up here and more articles, you're going to start to see all this stuff flesh itself out. So going back here to posts. All right, so here's the editing of the post. This section here under the purple Divi Builder heading, right? All you have for this is very simple. You have sections, which are these blue ones. You add them here, section, how many columns you want inside it, right? So you can divide it up into 3 columns. You can have it just 1 column across, whatever you want. But the first time you add a standard section, right, it's going to ask you how many columns. You can change that very easily by clicking on this little icon right here. Right, change structure. Click on that, I can go back to 1 column. Click on this, go back to 2 columns. Okay, so pretty much this is all that you need to know about the Divi Builder. It's very graphical, so you can see this is going to be a section with 2 columns. This is going to be a section with 1 column, and this will be cascading straight down the page. It's very easy to follow. All right, so then once you have the column structure set, this is your section, this is your columns, and you can adjust settings in here. So if you click on that, you're going to get a bunch of settings that allow you to choose different things for each of the different section layouts, and then each of the different column layouts. And then eventually, once you go into the types of modules you can put in the sections, you'll have settings for that as well. So you can adjust background color. This would just be a fill color for the whole thing. This would be a gradient. So you can select 2 colors and it will create an automatic gradient for you, right? This is if you wanted to use an image in the back. You could select an image from your media library, such, set it as the background, and then this right here allows you to put a video in the background. Now remember, this is a big section background, not for the whole page, but for the section that you're going to be using right now. So putting videos and stuff, you need to plan that out really well and make sure that you're putting something that makes sense in there and that doesn't affect the content that you're writing. This is just settings for video. If we go back here, we got the color, right? After that, you can have design. This is a little more very specific CSS, so you can decide how wide the column is. You can have dividers in the top and the bottom, margins and padding. That's going to be the amount of space that it puts before the section and then before the content starts in the section. So that's margin and padding. You can round corners, all that stuff. A lot of this stuff is stuff you can play with and see if you want to use it. It doesn't need to be put in there for most of the stuff you're going to be entering. The standard formatting for a page is going to work just fine for you for mostly everything that you do. Anyway, so each of those things comes, and then if you go in here, you'll find a lot of the same stuff. So again, this is the smaller casing around just the content and the columns, but it has pretty much the same exact thing. So you see we have the 3 columns. We got background over. I'll close this out. So we're looking at a section with 2 columns. So you got background, and then you've got a column 1 background and a column 2 background. So you can adjust those individually. You'll see that if I made this a 4 column, that would automatically adjust to that 1, 2, 3, 4. See, so what you can do with that is, you know, put a light gradient transparency background behind some wording so that it pops off the page a little bit. You can still see the background through it a little bit, that kind of stuff. Again, stuff you can play with, but you don't need just to write pages. This goes with alignment, and then make it full width. You can do all this kind of stuff. Pretty much the same as the other thing you just saw. All right, so once we've got that, you've dealt with big sections, you've dealt with the column casing, which this is just a div tag that goes around the columns, and then you have each individual piece of text. So if it has nothing in it, you're not going to see anything on the page. But if we put something in it, here's all your choices, right? So you have all these different types of stuff you can put in it. We've got, that's an accordion thing where you could write like a question and it would have a little drop down that opened up the answer. You can put an audio player in. You can put bar counters, which are good for graphic representations of statistics and things like that. You can have a little section that showcases your blog posts. Since you're working in extra, your whole site showcases your blog posts. You probably don't want to mess with that very much. You can do little blurbs. You can insert a button. This is a call to action, which would be like a color-based big old shout out, hey, do this right now. Circle counters, just like the bar counters, you can put statistics in them. This is if you have a piece of code to paste. So this is if you got something from PayPal or something from Square in order to embed something on the website, you would use a little code block. The rest are pretty self-explanatory. Contact forms, countdown timers, email opt-in forms, filterable portfolios if you have a bunch of different posts you wanted to place for that, single image or gallery of images. This divider is really just space. You can put in a map. This does require a Google Maps API, which is just something you have to set up in the background, but you can do like a full page map that's, you know, that's like Google, where you can scroll in and do all that stuff on it. Number counter, again, just like the bar counters and circle counters. Person, that's just for your team, like on your team page, you do that. It'll have a name and a photo and a little write-up, and it'll lay it out specifically. That's about it. Pricing tables, shop, sidebar. So shop will help if you're using the WooCommerce page. Social media follows, testimonials, tabs. And here's one you use a lot, text. So text and video are two that you're going to use a lot, right? So this text and this video. And then that's going to pretty much cover it. So I mean, 90% of the stuff I do is buttons, images, text, and video. And that pretty much covers like 90% of the things I'm ever going to enter into a regular blog post. So you can put an element in there. Okay, this is button text, so help me. And then this is where the button wants to go. So say we want it to go to our About Us page. All right, we would just copy and paste this URL right here into this right here. You can have it open in the same window or a new window, and then kind of come on down, right? If you wanted to keep it easier in your layout, you can do the help me button, and what you'll see is when you save it, that appears here. Otherwise it just says button. So if you want to keep track, and you can drag these around, right, anywhere you want to go just by dragging and dropping. It helps you if you want to organize things, if you take the time to do that. So let's go ahead and take a look at this post that we've made and see where it stands. So we'll view post, open it up here. Okay, America at a Crossroads. So we've got the help me button, right? That's great. If we move it over here, the columns maintain. So you'll see that it just boom, pops right over here to the third of the fourth column. Okay, same thing with this. So now we want to do that, and then say, well, let's say we wanted the button, but let's just do one column. We can insert a new module right below it. We'll do text. This is just like a normal text box. So we're going to basically, I'm going to grab some more Ipsum stuff here, just some placeholder text, hit it, and update it, and you'll see right here. There you go, help me button on the far left, and the text below it. Right, so inside the text, you can go to visual, and you treat it just like a word processing program. So we can make it bold, we can make it italic, we can turn it pink, update, and then come back out here to your front end of your site, refresh it, and we made it bold, italic, and pink. The button is default standards. If you go back to button and you go to design, you can make a lot of decisions here. Center it within the column, standard text dark or light, but then you can go here and you can literally create everything. The button text color will be what it looks like when it's just sitting there, background color, text size, all that. And then down here where you see icons, you see hover, button hover text color, you can change the background, the color, and everything from when you hover over it. You adjust all those and then set it, and you'll be completely customized. You can make them round, you can do anything you want with them. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this little button here. Anything that you see here will automatically duplicate the section. So I'm just going to duplicate that section twice so we get a little more content. Get rid of these two sections. And you'll see when you do this, we've now got 3 of the same sections. They all stay spaced. Each of the sections keeps its own little block around it, right? So you can really kind of start to build the layout just like you see it. So if we wanted, say we wanted this to be, let's add a row here, and we'll do it 4, and then we wanted help me buttons here, right? We could duplicate them. And then we could go into each one and change what it said. Maybe this would be you, and it has a different, it's the main page, whatever. And we save it. Each one of these is going to be different now, right? And when you see that you update it, you're going to see that change immediately in the front end. So boom, now I put it down here. I've got 4 buttons, nice and simple, right? So this really allows you to kind of do anything you can think of in the back end. And just by kind of adjusting the simple stuff, you can really get good layouts and good clean. These are all degradable, so that they will all go down onto a mobile device or anything like that. They automatically space themselves for mobile devices and for tablets. So overall, it's a really good builder system, and you can kind of just do whatever you want. It helps that you can kind of see it in the background and understand how it lays out, because this is directly how it'll lay out on the page. So we've just gone and erased those, and it'll go back to what it was before, right? So there you go. Hope that helps with editing.